What's going on YouTube? Craig here from All Tech Together coming at you with another product review. And today we're going to look at this. And this is the Razer Tartarus V.2 or version 2 from none other than Razer. In the interest of full disclosure, this was purchased by me with my own money, and my review and views on this product are mine and mine alone. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. So the Razer Tartarus V2 is, I call it a speed pad or an extra number pad or just a game pad, whatever you want to call it. But long story short is it basically acts like a very small, slim, cut down keyboard. Now, some of you out there might think that that's sort of silly. Some of you might think that that's fantastic. A lot of people who use these will use them for either gaming or macros or assigning multiple button presses to one button, just to cut down and increase workflow. But this one is from Razer, and this is sort of geared a little bit more towards gamers. And Razer actually has a few of these in their lineup. This is the Tartarus V2, and they also have the Razer Orb Weaver, which is almost identical to this. And I'm going to break down some of the key differences because I actually own them both. I just bought this one, and I have the Orb Weaver as well. So right away on the box, before we even look at the product itself, I want to draw attention to something that I'm not a fan of, and that's the fact that it says that this is a mecha membrane gaming keypad. Mecha membrane. I don't like it when companies do this. There's mecha membrane, there's mechanical. These companies now are trying to capitalize on the cheaper membrane switches, but throwing some version of mechanical with it to make it sound better, and then they can charge more. This is basically a membrane keypad. It's not mechanical. Now, I'm not a switch hog. Switch snob, sorry. I don't care if it's mechanical. I don't really care if it's membrane. It doesn't really bother me either way. But what does bother me is misleading marketing, and I find this is sort of trying to capitalize on both, telling people, hey, yeah, it's kind of got a mechanical twist to it, and people who don't know what that means probably think that that's a really good thing, and I don't like it. Other than that, let's take a look around this box. So right away you can see in the bottom corner here, it has Razer Chroma. Just like everything else that you can buy nowadays, basically, you can assign individual RGB LEDs per key, which I do like. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Anything that lets me customize my setup and my peripherals and my, case and all that sort of stuff to my likings, I do enjoy. So that's really good. Now on the back, it just sort of breaks down what we see here. All new Razer Mecha Membrane keys, 32 fully programmable keys. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then Razer Chroma customizable lighting. And we will take a quick peek in the software. I'll give you a slight little rundown. Their software, their Synapse software is still in beta, so it could change depending on when you are looking at this video. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at the actual product itself. So this here is the Razer Tartarus V2. And I hope I don't call it the Orb Weaver during this, because the Orb Weaver is the one I've had for a long time. But this is the Tartarus version 2. So right here, like I said, 32 programmable keys. So we got 5, 10, 15, and plus another 4. And then we have our mouse wheel here, which is also a click in, right? So you can scroll up, scroll down, and push it in as well. Then we have a little thumb button here and a joystick. Okay, and then a number 20 button way down here that's sort of like a space bar. So it's got quite a few buttons on it to assign to whatever you like, which is nice. I like it. And then it's got a really long USB cable that terminates in a USB Type A plug. So no USB-C here, but you really don't need USB-C for this. The other thing we'll draw our attention to here on the build quality in the front is also this wrist pad. There's a it's like a leatherette. it's not very thick. It's very, very thin. And so just pushing a little bit, I hit hard plastic, which again, you know, for the I think this thing's about $130 Canadian. I'd like a little bit more wrist pad here. It's not great. Flipping it around to the back, we have a few rubber feet, and it does stay really nicely on a desk. I haven't had it sliding around both on my desk as well as on my mouse mat that I use for gaming. So that's nice. This thing, if you know, you're in the heat of the moment, you're shooting up somebody in Apex Legends or something like that, using this, it's not going to move around on you. So that's about it for the physical characteristics. The only other thing that I want to show you, and this is something I kind of found out by mistake, is the thumb pad here has a little joystick on it. And then underneath, it has a directional pad, like a D-pad. And what you can do is you can actually pull the thumb pad right out, or the little joystick right out of the thumb pad, rather, sorry. And now you have just a four-way directional sort of directional pad, which, if that's your thing, cool. If it's not, you just simply slide the little stem back in and you have a joystick. So that's something that's really, really nice to have. With that out of the way, let's just take a look quickly here at the RGB. So each one of these keys is RGB assignable. You can assign them to whatever you want. There's a bunch of presets. There is a bunch of different stuff that I'm able to do with them, which I like. It's really nice, again, to be able to customize how this looks. So with sort of the RGB rather, sorry, I'm getting my letters mixed up. With the RGB out of the way, let's take a look at the software. So here we're taking a look at the Razer Synapse software. And as you can see, this is sort of the main page. I've already signed into my stuff. And here is my Razer Tartarus V.2. So if I click on that, it's going to bring up everything I sort of need here. I can customize, so I can change, and I'll go here to key map. I can add another key map here. There we go, key map 2. And I can say, you know, number 1 here on my keyboard, I want it to be a keyboard function, and I'm going to bind it to what? Let's see. Let's go J. Sure, why not? And then just click save, and number 1 is J. Now I want to do number 2, 3, 4, and so on. And I can even do the mouse scroll wheel here. This right now, number 20 is set to spacebar, and I can change that to whatever I want. And I've got a big list of things I can do. I come over here and go to lighting, and I can change what sort of light. Here's just the quick effect. So I got breathing, fire, reactive, ripple, spectrum cycling, starlight, static, wave, and I can go through all those. And then if I want, I can add advanced effects and go to the Chroma Studio. And this will allow me to fine tune whatever I sort of want. Come over here and I can change whatever I want into however I want it. It's very straightforward. I come here and go static. What color do I want? I want green. Save. Pick a button first. Green. Save. And number 9 is now green. So I can custom set up any key I want, plus the mouse wheel, plus my number 20 down here to whatever I need. So it does take a little bit of time to sort of figure out how to set this up. But once you sort of get used to the software, just like any other sort of software from any other company, once you learn how to use it, it's really easy. There's also a macro editor here, so I can set up my macros. So if you want one button push to do multiple different things, click on that, and then I can record my macros and go ahead and do that. So it's really straightforward. Make profiles for different games, maybe different people, things like that. Keypad, and then Synapse here, where I can also do all this sort of stuff as well. So again, user-friendly as far as anything else. Now please remember that this still is in beta, if I remember correctly. And yeah, here's the beta feedback tab. So this can change, and they can add stuff or strip stuff away pretty quickly. I'm not a fan of how they always have beta programs that seem to be in beta for a really, really long time. It's almost just like a beta. They say, you know, we're going to put in a program full of a bunch of bugs and just awful, and then we're going to make you be the product testers and try to figure it out for us. And I just don't like it, but it is what it is. So we got that out of the way, so let's get back into my sort of review here. So now that we had to look at the software and sort of the RGB, and hopefully you're still with me at this point in the review, let's break down sort of what I don't like about this and what I do like about this. Let's start with the positives first. First of all, it's nice to be able to have a very small sort of control center for certain games. If you are somebody who is going to play an MMO, like World of Warcraft, something like that, you can assign a lot of different commands to this and have it very, very quickly. And because the keys, for the most part, with the exception of this one left-hand row, are straight up and down, it makes it a little bit easier just to go straight up, straight down, straight up, straight down, or straight left and straight right, rather than on a regular keyboard where they're kind of offset a bit. So that's nice. And once you get used to it, this thing does function very well. Now, on the topic of getting used to it, this is my one big problem. And this goes for Razer's products, this goes for Logitech's, because Logitech has one of these sort of a deals as well. And companies, Razer, Logitech, anybody else who makes these, if you're watching me, do me a favor, make custom keycaps for this. Because when I go ahead in my games or in my programs and I custom map all these things to them, great. But now I have to remember what I programmed to number 7, number 5, number 2. And if I'm changing games, if I'm playing a lot of games, I have to custom make a profile for each game. Now I have to memorize or draw up some sort of legend that I can look at on the fly until I've learned that muscle memory. Where if you simply made custom keycaps and let us order them so that I could make this however I wanted. If I wanted, number 8 to be W, perfect. I'd pull off number 8 and put a W key there. That way, I can make it look exactly how I want to and still have my RGB, and still when the game or whatever program says, press W, I don't have to remember that, oh yeah, W is 8. I can just look down and be like, oh yeah, W, perfect, click. It would make it a lot better. Now, on to my next big problem with this. The Orb Weaver, which is more, I think it's 165-ish or something around those lines, has one massive advantage to this. And I don't care that the Orb Weaver has mechanical keys and this has, mecha mechanical or whatever they call it. The biggest problem with this is it's one size. The Orb Weaver, I can move out the thumbstick, I can move back the wrist guard, I can tilt this sort of palm rest to however I want it to make it the most comfortable kind of for me. This, one size. It will never change size. It's not going to conform to your hand at all. You have to conform to it. And in the world now of ergonomics and everybody wanting comfort, this thing lacks that. Because if it doesn't work for you right away, it's not going to. You can't change it. And I think Razer, that was a massive misstep by stripping that function out to get the cost down on this. Yes, it's cheaper, and we give up some sort of concessions, and we have to, give up things. And I think giving up the mechanical keys in here probably was enough. But getting rid of any sort of custom fitting to my hand, I don't like. So, sort of final thoughts is, if you bought one of these, or if you can try one of these kind of beforehand, and it fits you and you like it, yeah, for certain things, I think it's really, really good. For general sort of gaming and on a sort of a very small scale, I don't think this thing is worth it. I don't think the, let's say, cost of entry. Yeah, the cost monetary, but then I have to memorize all of the different buttons. I have to know exactly what they do at all times You know, if I'm playing one game, not a big deal, but if I'm playing multiple games or, you know, new games are coming out all the time, this thing is going to kill you. To try to remember what you've assigned to what at any given time, I just think is too big of a barrier for some people. Now, you out there watching this might be like, Craig, you're ridiculous. I can memorize that in about 16 seconds. If that's you, I'm jealous, and that is super cool, and then go buy one. So hopefully this review has helped you in sort of making a decision whether or not you want to buy one of these. Again, if you have any questions about this product, please leave a comment down below. I love to hear back from you. I love to get sort of a conversation. I am trying to build a community here. I want to make this channel grow. I'm growing slowly but surely, and I love that. I love seeing that number going up, but I love helping you, the consumer, and you out there in the world more. So again, my name is Craig from All Tech Together, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.